you're going to have a bowel movement or you would want to puke. So if you have something stressful going on, let's say you're going to be a public speaking and you're scared of public speaking, you might actually throw up really quickly.
Once again, it's a sympathetic response.
And there's nothing wrong with it, it's just what happens, yeah? So be aware of it. Don't freak out if you want to take a poo-poo just before a stressful event. So digestion gets suppressed. What other thing
I recommend that you do that prior
to stress.
To the stress, yeah.
What else happened? Immune system?
Immune system is going to get amped up for a short period of time because let's go back in time to thousands of years ago. If you would get hurt, you get cut, you get hit, you get bitten by an animal that usually their mouth is really quite high in bacteria and it can create an infection, the body will amp up the immune system for a short period of time to maintain optimal levels. What happens is that if that chronic response gets prolonged, it becomes chronic, like I just said, then the immune system eventually will collapse and people will be sick all the time due to stress. Do we see that out there? Of course, people are getting sick 2, 3, 4 times a year with the same flu, same symptoms, same coughing, same hacking.
Okay.
What happens?
So ultimately your immune system gets suppressed to some point. What other systems get affected?
Every single system of the body, hormonal.
So hormonal system gets affected.
Absolutely.
Big time.
When your body is driven with cortisol all the time, eventually you will reach what we know as you know, adrenal fatigue.
I think another one is very important. It's the sex functions. Now if you're under stress, and if you're about to run or fight, how much sex do you want in this particular moment?
It will be very unlikely because, you know, sex, in my opinion, although there's different components of the ritual of sex that are more sympathetic or parasympathetic, I will say it reigns in the realm of being more parasympathetic, more relaxing, more creative, you know. So the minute you get really, really amped up, you know, really wound up and ready to do fight or flight, sex, we know your sex drive will diminish.
Exactly.
Because, you know, even from a more physiological perspective, you divert, you know, sex hormones away to create more stress hormones.
Exactly. So ultimately, you do not want to have sex while somebody is attacking you.
Depends. If I have some hot chick trying to attack me, I might let her. See what happens. I might change my mind in the middle of the fight, but...
Okay, Jan's gonna watch this episode too.
She could be the one attacking me too. I'm good with that.
That's what you meant under a hot chick attacking you.
Of course, Jan is hot, please, you know.
Okay, good. Alright, now... we got out of this one.
Yeah.
So what's important about just a basic stress response? When the basic stress response, your body thinks of priorities, things that are important, things that are not important, and some things that are not important, they're going to get suppressed.
Yes.
Now the trick is, regardless of what kind of stress you are under, that thing is still going to happen.
Yep.
So when we talked about different stress responses, different stressors, physical and other things, you can get the same response, but maybe on a mini scale.
Yes.
Now the problem starts when those stress responses accumulate in a long-term stress response, and your response to that also accumulates, so you end up having chronically depressed immune functions, chronically suppressed digestive functions, chronically suppressed sex functions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are big in today's society.
Absolutely.
Huge.
Well, you know, since, you know, people might say, well, my sex life is not being affected. Well, the minute your sex life is affected, everything else will be affected. It all happens at once simultaneously. So if you're, you know, if you're affecting one system, all the other systems have been affected. Whether you choose to admit it or realize it or see it, you know, on your persona, it's happening. We know for a fact it's happening.
Yeah. Think of it like this again. Stress by itself has a tremendous effect on you. Huge effect. So you want to be careful with recognizing little signs. So if you, as Ruben mentioned before, if you get sick a lot, and a lot is like a couple times a year, that's a lot.
I think more than, you know...
I think once a year it's kind of a lot.
There's no reason for anybody to
once every few years, if you get slightly sick, then it's chances are your immune system works properly.
I mean, we can understand that you go out to eat and the food wasn't prepared properly, or there was some type of bacteria and your stomach is a mess for a day or two. But this constant influenza shot thing, and catching the flu a couple times a year or stuff like that, that's
definitely not normal. And then it seemed to be promoted as absolutely normal thing.
Yeah. They make it to be common, but common doesn't make it normal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So another thing is digestive issues. Yeah, if you fart all the time, if you get bloated, the chances are there's some suppressed immune function, digestive functions going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
also,
another form of stress.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful. Pay attention to those things. Start addressing them. If you don't know how, give us a call. Email us. Ask questions. We're available. That's what we do. We teach our clients and we teach you how to be aware of certain things. We cannot describe everything in this blogging section, but ultimately it is very important to recognize little signs.
Well, not only can we not explain everything, is that everybody has a specific needs.
Yeah, totally.
And
Everybody's very
by the
unique.
wayside, and you don't want to make the mistake of making a recommendation in general when it might be a contraindication for somebody else.
True.
So you have to treat,
if there's a sex-related function problems, we're not experts, but ultimately you would want to be aware that there's a possibility. Let's say if you cannot get pregnant if you're female, if you're male you have a problem with erection, all kinds of different things. If you're not in the mood for sex for a long period of time,
it's very common for guys to have erectile
if you're 30 years old and you're kind of not horny, there's something's going on.
Yeah, definitely yes. Either with you or with the person that you're with, or with the relationship that the two of you are making together, there's some kind of idiosyncrasy in there.
So be careful with the signs. Another thing is, I always say most of the people that are stressed are not aware that are stressed.
Yeah,
they're not aware. Think of it like this: if you fart in a room, everybody's going to smell the fart right away, and then slowly everybody's going to get used to it until somebody walks in the room and says, "Hey, somebody farted in here. Are you crazy sitting here?" So you get adapted to certain things. So if you think of your life is not stressful, but you get a lot of red flags, go find somebody who can actually evaluate your life, and possibly might show you a few things. I cannot tell you how many clients I had. They swear they are not stressed.
Right.
But I know for a fact that they are.
Well, you see, they're a walking stress map, at every single, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, mechanically, thermally, electromagnetically, chemically, they're stressed. You can see it. But they themselves, they have become so accustomed to that.
You think that is it, but it's not it.
Right.
Actually, one thing that I use with my clients that works excellent is that I use the adrenal stress kit that we mail to our clients or give it to them. They take the saliva, we send it to medical lab to check the cortisol levels to see how stressed you are. I find it as a good tool to just get you be aware. Because a lot of times if you do the test, you realize that you are.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully you start doing something. What are you going to do after that? It's entirely your choice.
For sure.
But at least you become aware that there is a possibility of something going on.
Yeah. And not only because of the cortisol response, but it gives an indication of where your strongest male and female hormones are at, your testosterone, your different estrogens, estriol, your DHEA levels in relationship to your cortisol. And it pretty much not only does it tell you how stressed you are, but it also gives you a very good indication of how fast you are aging. Because those ratios, they're so off that your body chronologically and biologically, they're going in different directions.
So basically what happens, you have vitamin B5, actually cholesterol. Out of cholesterol, your body makes vitamin B5. After that, your body makes what's called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone is a very important precursor for either stress hormone, which is a cortisol,
epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline,
or all the sex hormones which go from DHEA to estrogen and testosterone. So they basically, sex hormones compete with stress hormones for the same precursor. So what you end up having, if you have a lot of stress in your life, that pregnenolone going to go to what's called cortisol steal response, and your cortisol going to steal most of the pregnenolone, and you're going to have suppressed DHEA. And when we check for something like this, we would check what is the ratio of DHEA versus of cortisol. And if the ratio is high, there's a high chance that you have cortisol steal response. That means you are under stress. And our job as a practitioners to find where stress comes from.
That's right.
So let's talk about I always see my clients